Are we back? Okay. Okay. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you had a great chat about your most daring things. I know that we did. Lots of darers. Is that a word? Darers in the room and in the Zoom room. I am. Oh, there's a slide welcoming you back also. And here's a word from our sponsors. So thank you to MailChimp. That's Creative Morning's official global partner for marketing, something I use a lot. You have probably received many MailChimp missives from me. And so my question to you is, have you heard of the podcast Cool Pool? As part of the wide-ranging MailChimp Presents lineup, Paul Jarvis interviews entrepreneurs who, much like yourself, who prioritize passion over profit and renegotiate the status quo. It's full of wisdom, practical insights, and inspiration for all creatives, which is everybody on this planet, because we are all creative. In the first episode of season 2, Paul Jarvis interviews Austin Kleon, the former Creative Morning speaker and a prolific blogger, illustrator, and author. Austin explains how creativity and commerce don't have to be at odds. It's worth a listen, and you can find out further details on the MailChimp Presents page. Next up is Skillshare. Thank you to our newest global partner for online learning, Skillshare. It's an online learning community helping millions take the next step on their creative journey. With the right mindset, you actually don't need to be famous to make a living from your art. In the first episode of this free Skillshare YouTube series, Unmaking the Myth, Andy J. Pizza, which is a really strong name, debunks common myths about audience growth and explains how just 1,000 true fans can offer sustainable success. For more, subscribe to Skillshare's YouTube channel and keep up with the latest from Unmaking the Myth, where Andy defies the conventional wisdom of makers and creators every week. And next up we have Free Agent. Free Agent are a long-term valued partner of Creative Mornings in Edinburgh. We really couldn't do it without them. Free Agent provide award-winning online accounting software that's designed specifically for small businesses and freelancers. Over 100,000 small business owners and freelancers use Free Agent to create invoices, track time against projects, file tax returns, and get on with the work they love instead of the paperwork. You'll be hearing a bit more about them from Karen Melville in our Community Minutes segment later on this morning. And now I'm going to turn over to Rebecca for yet another very exciting part of the morning.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, so on to our main event. Our speaker today, Vikki Allan. So in 2009, at the age of 16, Vikki realised that she wanted to follow in the footsteps of her father and complete the local referee course. However, she was met with a lot of negative attitudes toward women in what is and was seen as a very male sport. Vikki set out to prove them wrong and completed her course, only then to fall in love with this part of the sport and continue her journey down the refereeing pathway. 12 years later, and Vikki is now one of the top female football officials in Scotland, having represented Scotland on the international stage at World Cup Qualifiers, Euro Qualifiers, and the Champions League. She continued her passion for gender equality and representing women in the sport, working with the Equal Playing Field initiative, through which she has broken 2 world records with the group. She's worked with girls across the globe in some of the most restrictive countries for women in football to allow them the chance to play football and develop their skills. Vikki was formerly the Youth Ambassador of Refereeing in Scotland, working with the Scottish FA, and is currently working as a Supplier Relationship Manager for Aberdeen. After Vikki's talk, there'll be some time for questions as well, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on perspectives on this month's theme of Dare. But that's enough from me. Over to Vikki for her talk. Ain't no mountain high enough from Dalkeith to the Dead Sea.
Thanks, everyone. And I am delighted to be here, especially for your first hybrid event. So thanks very much for asking me to come along today and speak. Really excited. So yeah, as Rebecca said, my name's Vikki Allan. I currently work as a supplier relationship manager for a company called Aberdeen in Edinburgh. And my hobby, as I think they like to call it, is refereeing, although it seems to take up a lot of time in my life. But I absolutely love it and wouldn't have it any other way. I'm here today. I'm very excited about the topic there. I think it's really interesting and loved hearing some of your comments there about what's the most daring thing you've been up to. And we're talking about how it can have different perspectives from yourself and what is daring to you. So yeah, I'm excited to be able to talk about that today. And what I'll talk about is probably my journey, how I got to where I am today, a little bit of introduction from that. And then kind of the second part about yeah, what I'm up to now and trying to help others also achieve and dare for themselves and see what they can achieve and push the boundaries. So yeah, so how did I get to where I am? Yeah, there's me, nice and cute, I think. So yeah, so I kind of grew up in a football background. So that's my parents, Crawford and Yvonne. My dad started refereeing the year I was born, so grew up with it. Basically, yeah, that was my straight introduction right in there. Whole of my life, following him around different football grounds. So when people are like, "Oh, who'd you support?" I genuinely don't support anyone. I just do love the sport. I just love going to football and getting involved and chatting about it and meeting the community and people and speaking about it with folk and enjoying it, being part of it. So yeah, so followed him about all the different games. He actually became a category 1 referee, which is the top level of men's football in Scotland. So he was doing the SPL, and he also got a few sneaky games abroad without having an actual FIFA badge. I do like to stall in there. I'm like, you never got one of these, but I did. So so I do like to throw that one in there every now and then. And my mum, she actually worked for a little club called Heart of Melodian in Edinburgh. So she had the introduction there. She was there for about 18 years from when she was 16. And then she actually moved to another little club called Hibernian. So again, there is no no fan perspective from me because she actually worked at both, which, yeah, don't think many people, if you're a fan, would appreciate that. But yeah, she actually works in dentistry now. So absolutely out of the game literally now. But yeah, so I grew up with football and that, I loved it. Like I say, I never really had any ambitions to go and become a referee. I just liked it. I also like to throw it there. I cannot play, can't kick a ball to save my life. So that wasn't an option either. But was I pressured is the question. There's a little doll I got when I was younger. Apparently it was to help me tie my shoes. But yeah, it was given to me from a very young age. Little referee doll. So I thought that was quite funny. And we actually found it when we were clearing out my mum and dad's garage recently. But yeah, how did I go about it? So when I turned 16 in Scotland, that's the year you can go and sit the referee exam. So it's 2009. I'm in 5th year of high school, and I turned around to my friends and said, "Oh, I could actually go and become a referee now." And they turned around and they just went, "Girls don't referee. Girls don't play football." And like, because it wasn't wide in the media at that point, and obviously it's getting better today and stuff, but back then, the back pages of the paper, etc., you wouldn't see any female footballers really. So I did kind of just go out there originally to prove a point, whether that was right or wrong. But so I went, I'm going to go do that. I'm going to go sit the exam and I'll do a couple games and I'll just prove the point. So I went to Dalkeith, hence the Dalkeith 2. So to Dalkeith and sat the class, which was 5 weeks at that point in time. And the exam was still on paper back in those days. So not online. So sat that and you watch video clips and etc. So I did all that. And then the last part of your exam is to go and do a game. And somebody comes out as an advisor, not an observer, to come to advise and help you and just be that friendly face. And yeah, it was awful. Missed a red card, it was probably horrendous. And I was like, what have I done? And they said, look, nobody is a good referee when they first start. It's just like doing anything. You don't walk before you learn to crawl, etc. So I was like, right, okay, I'll do another one. I'll do another couple, and really pushed and put myself out there, and I fell in love with it. I genuinely did. It's just such a different angle of the sport. I get a front seat to, and like I say, I can't can't kick a ball. So I wasn't going to get very far playing. And I'll come into a bit more of like my career and where I've got to. But started out in youth football, girls and boys, doing both. So I do both men's and women's football domestically. So past that, started to progress. And then I went to university in 2010, and that became a bit of a priority for me. Obviously, I wanted to get my degree. So still continued refereeing. It took a little bit of a back seat, but progressed. And then when I finished uni, I really got stuck in Scotland. We have local associations. So I kind of became part of our management committee in the Edinburgh and District Referee Association, became the secretary, so on. And I'm now the vice president of the association. So yeah, got quite stuck in. I think people started to notice that I was had a few more ambitions than just doing the youth football at the weekend. So I really started to push on my career, and there's some probably highlights of photos here that I've put in. But yeah, so I had my kind of first SWPL, which is the top level of women's football in Scotland, in 2009. So I did the line as the assistant referee. And then I had my first medal in the women's SPL in 2012. And did my kind of first men's semi-professional line back in 2012 as well. In 2014, I don't think I've got those actual photos, but this one here, for example, in the middle on the right is the Scottish Cup. So I had the Women's Scottish Cup and Women's League Cup in the same year, which that was the year I finished uni. And I think that was probably a turning point for me to start realising, I could actually do a few more things here than just go and do kids football at the weekend. And then in 2016, I got a phone call, and the way that the Scottish FA works is for an international game, they phone you up. And actually, spookily enough, I was actually on holiday for the weekend in Austria and Vienna. And my phone goes, I'm like, that's a Glasgow number. So I answered it, and they said, would you be free to go to Austria? I was like, you're kidding me. In 2 weeks' time, I was like, I'm here right now. But yeah, so I actually got to go before I had my FIFA badge as the assistant referee too. Official for Austria v Norway, and actually was the game of their group that then qualified them to go to the Euros. So for me, at that point, that probably in my mind was actually the turning point, and thinking, wow, like this is an unbelievable opportunity, and maybe a way that I can maybe travel the world and create a bigger way out of this hobby. And then that kind of photo on the top right, second in from the top right, that is the first ever all-female official team to referee in the Men's Lowland League. So we got that game. That got quite a lot of publicity, and folk were like, wow, to have 3 females on a men's game. They thought that was quite a big thing. 2016, at the end of the year, got a phone call to say they'd like to nominate me for FIFA, which was just... If you told the little girl in 5th year in 2009, you could become FIFA when I can't even kick a ball, and have the opportunity to go and referee some of the top level football in the world for women, I would never have believed you. So to get that phone call and go and do my fitness tests and medicals and things that we have to do and pass them and get that opportunity was unbelievable. And I got my FIFA badge in 2017 in the January. And then just a nice one for me in 2017 as well. So the middle one at the bottom, that was my first game, or kind of first and last official game with my dad. He retired in 2017. So I think he put a sneaky call in and said, I'd really like to get a game with Vikki before I finish up. So that was really nice. And it's actually my cousin on the right as well. So it was a bit of a family affair we had for that game, but it was really nice. And it was lovely to be able to actually get out on a game with my dad before he finished up, and I know it's a big moment for him as well. And then I've had, since then, it's been a bit of a whirlwind of unbelievable opportunities, and there's a few pictures in there from Champions League, and getting to go in referee teams that, again, if you told the 16-year-old me you'd go and referee Wolfsburg and PSG and Atletico Madrid, I was standing in the tunnel and you have a bit of a pinch me moment, and like I can only imagine it's a bit like the stories my dad tells about the games he went to and did, but I was like some of the international players for like the England team and things like that. I was standing in the tunnel, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm checking Tony Duggan's boots, like, and you can't show that you're having that moment, but I was like, yeah, show me. Oh, perfect, yeah, inside, keep it cool. So you do kind of have those pinch me moments, but yeah, don't get me wrong, it's not always been a pretty picture to get there. It's I make it sound like that was a really easy road to get there, but it wasn't all sunshine, literally. Yeah, being a female in the men's game, that was the first comment that was obviously said to me back when I said I could go and sit the course. And there's lots of challenges. So in the game in general, there has been sexist comments shouted at me, you know, the classic, get back to the kitchen, what are you doing here? You don't know the rules. And that obviously has an impact on you. You just try and block it out and think about it, and had comments from managers about my body and things like that. And to have those moments while you're refereeing, especially when probably now I would deal with it better, but when I was really young, you're getting those comments, it's almost like a freeze moment and you don't know what to do. And it's just like, just get on with it. And now I know how to deal with it better and helping other girls if they have it. Thankfully, there isn't many situations like that anymore. But also funny things like people not knowing what to call me as well. So like internationally, I'm an assistant referee in Scotland. I do the middle and on the line. But I was on the line and I had some guys behind me once. And for those who are interested in football, the line used to obviously be called a linesman. It's now an assistant referee. I think it changed in the 90s to that, to obviously be gender neutral. And these guys were behind me and they were like, what do we call her? Like, she's not a linesman, she's a lineswoman. And I could hear this conversation going on. Obviously, I'm refereeing and I'm like, whatever, just trying to ignore it. And the ball went out for a corner or goal kick or something. And they just shouted, Lioness! Lioness! And I actually had to stop. I was like, no way, you've just shouted Lioness. It was a moment, and just obviously funny, but it just shows you that they didn't even know what to call me. And that was maybe only 5 years ago that was shouted out, and used to show up to grounds and they'd be like, oh, it's a female, what do we do? How do we react? What? And about 10 minutes into the game, you're getting treated like any of the guys. It's fine, you're rubbish, just as rubbish as the men referees. But even things like changing facilities, etc. It's sometimes they're like, oh, here's a broom cupboard. And you're like, great, thanks. Like, it's changing now, thankfully. And perceptions are changing now. And there's a lot more females and you do just show up and they do just know you, etc. So it does, but it has been difficult from that perspective. And even the training, obviously I'm wanting to progress in the men's game. I want to go as far as I can. I'm doing a lot of men's games in the middle, and I actually want to be an assistant referee. That's what I prefer. It's a different skill set, just as is any job. But I do need to go up in the middle first to get there. So even training, obviously I have to pass the men's fitness test to be able to referee in the men's game. I've got a different body shape, and it does just come down to, but it's fair, in my opinion, we'll not get into that today, that I do pass the men's test because it's the men's football and I should be just as fit. But I'm smaller and different body shape, and I have to work, in my opinion, a lot harder than some of the guys to be able to run just as fast as them. And also, in fact, when I was training, said, it's been a few years now and I would quite like to progress. There was a bit of a surprise and they were like, you, girl, you want to progress in the men's game? And I was like, yeah, like, why not? I want to be the best. I want to get as far as my dad. I want to get further than him, so on. And there was a bit of a surprise, which I do think is a bit sad, but it's changing now, those perceptions, like I say, which is great. But it wasn't all sunshine. But yeah, I'm so proud to, have got to where I am today and pushed and really tried. And it also matters to me now that things have changed and we can push others. So, helping females to get to where maybe I have, or to push, and even just to be in refereeing, because I say that to a lot of the girls when they come through, everybody's aspirations are different. And if you just want to go and referee grassroots football, that's amazing. We need grassroots female referees, or just referees in general. And if that's what you want to do, I'm happy to support that. If you want to be the next Shan Massey from England, Rebecca Welsh in England, all these ones, Phoebe Steinhaus from Germany, Lorraine Watson from Scotland, if you want to be one of them, then I'm happy to help with that as well. And those sorts of things inspired me to get involved in the Youth Ambassadors of Change at the Scottish FA. So it was the first programme of its kind in football. So it was championed by a programme called the Captains of Change, I think it was, by UEFA. So different football associations could apply and say, we've got an idea for a programme, can we get some funding? And the Scottish FA's one was a group of 20 young people who could represent all the different areas of the game and give them a voice back to the Scottish FA, because at the end of the day, young people are going to be the future of football. So, they need to have some input into it. So it was the first one of its kind. I was the referee youth ambassador. So that was my specific topic I looked into, although I got involved with a lot of the other projects as well. Supported a lot of young officials to give them a voice. And one of the things I created was the referee youth ambassador change. So like I say, the way that Scotland works, it's lots of different associations. North of Scotland, more in Banff, and then down to Central Belt, we've got Edinburgh District, which covers the borders in Edinburgh and Glasgow and all the other areas. And for one person, me, to be able to travel to all those places, I thought, I'm not going to be able to hear everybody. So why don't I just put a young person who then feeds into me, but we'll all have, we'll discuss. And there were silly things like referees were coming through and they were like, they can't get the kit because like to buy a referee kit, it's something like 150 quid, £200. Like I say, nobody's a good referee the day they start. So do you really want to go out and spend £200? And what we realized is that some associations where their senior list members were getting referee kit for free because they're like in the SPL, but they get it every season. So can you not hand that kit back? We'll give it to the young referees coming through and then they don't have to so like silly things like that. But just us talking, we managed to find out all these little things. And also refereeing can be a bit of a lonely world. When you start out, you don't have assistants. It's you in the middle, 22 other folk shouting at you, basically, coaches shouting at you. So it was about building that community and support system. And I did that for all young referees in Scotland. But a big passion for me, obviously, was also the women's side and what could we achieve. And I'd been doing a lot of that stuff even before becoming the youth ambassador of refereeing. And one of the things that we introduced, which similar things then came into the youth ambassador roles, we really worked through. So in Edinburgh, for example, and these numbers do still seem small, I think, but for me, I think it just shows the progress and the change, and those numbers can double. So in 2016, we had kind of 3 active female referees. That sounds crazy. 3 out of an association that has 350 people, we only had 3 female referees. And that's when I became the kind of head of women's in Edinburgh. And we did things like introduced WhatsApp groups just to have a community. So you have someone to speak to, buddy systems, things like that. And now we're up to 19 active female officials in Edinburgh alone. And we actually had 5 pass the class last week. So we'll be up to 24 now, which is, again, like I say, that's a small number to some, but for me, that's a massive journey that we've been on. And to be able to support these girls and to see some of them doing what they're doing. This is just some of the girls, like in top left is us introducing a female only class, because for me, when I went to the class, it was me and 20 guys. And you're like, well, just speak up. 16 as well, like, some of the men are in their 20s, 30s, more mature. And did I want to speak up at 16 and be the only female in the room? So we did do that. We have ran female only classes in the past, female training days. And then some of the opportunities, so at the bottom right is Sandy and Neve in Oman refereeing. They just went into a tournament in Oman. For me, why else would you go? Like, I probably wouldn't have a reason just to go to Oman on holiday. So for them to go and experience, to go there, and Sandy, one of our more mature female referees, she had a Hearts Hibs local derby. Like, these are unbelievable opportunities, and cup finals in the middle there. And Emma's actually from France. She moved over here, so she had the opportunity to do a Scotland under 17s game. So to see the opportunities they're getting, and it's just amazing for what we've come from in 5 years. And through the Youth Ambassador Programme and all this work and saying, I have my passion for women's equality and what can we do, back in 2017, and I just got my FIFA badge. I was just on the Youth Ambassador Programme, and somebody phoned me and they said, what are you doing in 3 weeks? And I was like, all right, international appointment, here we go again. But it's for about 2 weeks. It's like, where am I going for 2 weeks? Like, what kind of appointment is that? He's like, it's actually a charity game. And I was like, all right, in 3 weeks time. Oh, and he said, would you be able to go to Tanzania, climb Kilimanjaro, and break a world record for a referee in the highest game of football in the world? And I was like, in 3 weeks time, I actually got a few things on, but I went, and it was the most unbelievable opportunity of my life, and couldn't believe it. So it is a charity called Equal Playing Field Initiative. They're hoping to break down barriers and raise awareness of gender inequality in sport, currently mainly in football, but they're looking to branch out over time. So I went with 60 women. So like I said, I had 3 weeks notice to go and to go and train. So the Pentlands became my training ground, which are a little bit smaller than Kilimanjaro, I have to admit. But yeah, I did my training there. My dad and my now husband came training with me, and it was amazing. It was very, very tough climb. Like I say, 3 weeks training. I think people like train for years to go and do Kilimanjaro, but I went. It was really tough. I was pretty sick. I got altitude sickness, felt pretty awful. Then of course you're feeling sick, so then you're homesick because you're like, actually, I don't want to be in a tent, like climbing a hill, like, or a big hill, a very big hill. And on the very last day, if anybody's done it, I don't know, some of make Kilimanjaro, you start about 2 a.m. and it's freezing cold. And the reason you have to do that is because the climb up, the ground's frozen. But it's normally like scree. So you would just like sink. It would take you, I don't know how long to climb if you did it then. So you have to go when the ground's frozen. So even your like camelback water freezes. So then you don't have water. You're climbing for 8 hours up this hill. And I was like, why am I doing this? Why have I done this? And then we got to, so the way that Kilimanjaro is a crater. So we got to the kind of point to go down into the crater. And it was the most emotional moment. We're all like, this is why, this is the moment. Oh my gosh, can't believe it. And we went down and we created the pitch. So we made a full-size football pitch out of flour, because obviously we didn't want to ruin the environment. So we used flour for lines. We did carry goalposts up, which was a bit mental. They were quite, but we did that, and it was also interesting to hear the porters' thoughts that were helping us climb, because they were all locals from Tanzania, and again, it's not a very female country for doing sports and getting out there, so it was interesting to hear them. They were like, oh, I'm not really sure how I feel about this, and you women doing the game at the top. They then became our biggest fans. They were standing at the side, they'd made signs. It was like being in a ground. It was amazing. And yeah, they actually said at the end, I'm actually going to go down the mountain, tell my daughter about this, and she's going to get involved. And it was amazing. It was it was 0-0, but it was probably the most exciting 0-0 game of my life. And they did say that it would feel like 4 hours of constant football because of how thin the air is. So actually, you probably won't reach the top of the mountain, even though you've climbed all this way, gone down into the crater, played the game. You probably won't ever get to the top. And our adrenaline was just so high. I think that I was like, I have not come all this way to not climb to the top. So about 90% of us still climbed up after the game. So we'd done an 8-hour hike, a 90-minute equivalent 4-hour game of football, and then climbed the extra hour and a half up and still had to go back down to camp that night. So it was pretty crazy. And we always like to leave a legacy. So we left lots of football equipment in the local area. We did a game before we climbed with the girls and things like that in the local area. And we got the Guinness World Record for the highest game of football in the world. And it was just unbelievable hearing their stories as well. So the girls that were playing with us were from all over the world. So we had international stars. So we did have big names to try and obviously get media attention. But we also had girls from Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and more Middle East countries and locals from Tanzania, Rwanda, etc., to really have that global aspect. And I know my time, so I'll try rattle through the last bit, but we had a game. So then I got a phone call about 9 months later. Are you free again? I was like, oh, please no climbing, please no mountain. They're like, we're going to do the lowest game of football in the world. And I was like, much easier, much more up for that one. They didn't tell me we're going to walk like the whole of Jordan to get there, but that was anyway. So it wasn't quite as easy. But what we did was we walked, basically, obviously we did get cars at some points to get to the more wider areas of Jordan, but we walked a lot of Jordan. And in between we ran football camps for girls. We had exhibition matches. And then, yeah, we played the game at the end. And a story I'll try and tell really quickly, but the bottom left picture really really resonates. So we're running these camps at all the different locations, and at the start of the day I went, oh, where's today's camp? And they were like, oh, Camel Racing Track. And I was like, what a weird name for a stadium. And then I got there and I was like, it's races, but like camel and no grass, like what? So yeah, it was literally a camel racing track, but we ran it in kind of the area. But we got there and there was machine guns facing into to where the girls were all playing. I was like, this is what's going on here. And the girls as well they were not being naughty, but they were like grabbing the ball, running away. You're like, come back, what are you doing? You're like, come on, we're trying to teach refereeing skills and football skills here. And then it turned out that only 90 girls were meant to come, but they sent 190, and we just didn't have the capacity. But actually, in fact, they wanted to send 700 girls. And I was like, why did they want to send all these girls? And it wasn't just the first time they played football. It wasn't just first time they played football outside. It was the first time they'd been like allowed to just go out and play outside on like, yeah, they're from an area that just is really restrictive, and they don't have those opportunities. So for me, that was just, I was like, we're changing the world. This is it. Amazing. And the next day we got to go to the pitch that we were going to play the world record game at. And Prince Ali in Jordan had actually built the pitch for us. So it was by the Dead Sea, hence Dalkeith to the Dead Sea. And it was by the Dead Sea. And he built it for us. And we're like, wow, okay, cool. Build a football pitch for us. But easier than making that one out of flour at the top of Kilimanjaro. But we're running a football camp the day before. And a governor from the local area showed up and started having a fight outside the grounds and was trying to get the girls to come off the pitch. Now we were trying to shield them from it, protect them from it, but he didn't believe that they should be out playing football. They should be at home. They should be learning to look after the household. They should be, and I was like, it almost like kind of broke me from the day before. It was like, I thought I was changing the world. And I was like, we're not. Like, this guy's now come along, and there was some boys, and they were starting to throw things into the pitch, and we were obviously trying to like get the girls and try to show them as normal a game as possible. And I was just a bit broken. But then the next day we were doing our exhibition match, and there was, maybe not the governor, we'll ignore him, but those same people came back and they were cheering us on, and they actually said, you've actually changed our opinion. And then I thought, you know what, it isn't about just changing the world, it's about changing one or two mindsets to then be able to allow people to have that opportunity. And if I have just changed one or two mindsets in that community to allow girls to be able to go out and play freely and just even play, not even just football, but they could be one day the next Jordanian star, they could be going to World Cups, etc., and have those opportunities, which would just be amazing for them. So it did just kind of change my thoughts that way, and it was an unbelievable opportunity. And I continue to work with Equal Playing Field now. They've actually broken another world record. I was unavailable for that one, but yeah, continue to work for them, and I think they're trying to get some big plans for next year for the Euros. So yeah, I try to look at everything I do and see that you need a community around you. So for me, when I was coming through, it was about pushing myself, and then like trying to rely on people I could, and what could I do. But then I realized that when the female numbers weren't there, what could we do? And it was about having that support system and speaking to people and saying, how can we help you, believe and push and achieve what you want to do, and dare to dream and dare to believe and be who you want to be and have those opportunities. And make your dreams come true, basically. If that's for a little girl somewhere else in the world that maybe doesn't have that opportunity today, to change that mindset and give them that opportunity, then happy to, just so happy to be involved in that and make that opportunity. But I won't leave it onto anything too heavy. Sponsors, you've got to love them. The opportunities, other stupid things we get to do, but yeah, me and my dad one day got called to do something stupid, so didn't want to leave it on anything too heavy. But thank you. I've totally overran, but thank you so much, and hopefully that was okay, perfect. Thank you.
So much for that. That was absolutely wonderful to hear your story and what a lot you've done in such a relatively short space of time. So hopefully we'll have some questions for you, if that's okay. I'm going to be start kicking off, I guess. I would love to know. You are obviously focused on kind of helping people develop skills, helping girls develop skills, discover new things about themselves, but what is the one thing that you've learned about yourself that's most surprised you over your time as a referee?
That's actually a good question. So yeah, probably the thing that surprised me over time is kind of having that confidence as well. I think, especially when I was 16, I don't think I probably would have got to where I am today in like my job and in real life without building that confidence. And it definitely does surprise me. Sometimes maybe I don't feel it, but I think, I surprise myself and probably wouldn't go out and wouldn't stand here today and talk in front of everyone and kind of tell that story. And the confidence definitely does surprise myself sometimes what I can go out and do, and being 16 and going out and refereeing 22 men on the pitch, it definitely can surprise me from time to time. But what I'm able to do. But yeah.
I think that kind of chimes on what some people said in their kind of breakout session earlier about kind of different levels of daring and kind of what you can actually push yourself to do.
Yeah,
which is awesome. Cool, thank you. Do we have any questions in the room? And I'll kind of come to you with my roving microphone.
Thanks so much, Vikki. That was like properly inspirational. I suppose I can't imagine what it must take to, do what you've done. I was actually, maybe this is a bit negative, but I was wondering, was there a time, something that happened that might have made you, quit this whole thing? Because there must have been so many challenges. And what did you do to sort of get yourself back on the rails?
Oh, yeah, definitely. There's been many a time I've thought about, chucking it all in. And you speak to any referee, to be fair, you speak to anyone who does anything, that they go and, there's days that you think, why am I doing this? So there was a time, what would it have been? Probably would have been about 2012. So I was about 3 years in, I was doing an under 13s boys game. So you're like, come on, that must be all right. And thought I was having a decent first half. I usually when I was starting out, and to be fair, I still do it if I'm out on my own now. I put kind of my water bottle in an area that obviously there's no coaches, no players, no parents, because parents are the worst. They are worse than the players and the coaches sometimes. But yes, so I put my water bottle over. I went to go get a half time to have a drink, and I saw a Scottish FA tracksuit approaching me, and I was like, God, no, that's never good. And he came over and he went, name. I was like, geez, oh. I was like, Vikki Allan, thought so. I was like, what does that mean for starters? But I was like, he's like, how do you think you're doing? I was like, yeah, I think, I'm like, even today, I'm still learning. Everybody's still learning everything they do. But like, obviously, I'm only 3 years in at that point. I'm like, I think I'm having an okay game, maybe positioning things or here and there. It's like, having a rubbish game, terrible. And I was like, what? And he laid into me for about like 2 minutes. And I was like, broken by the end of this. And I was like, all right. Okay, I'll be truly honest. I went out and had the worst second half performance you've ever seen. I was given throw-ins the wrong way. I was given easy things the wrong way. And I was just like, what? And cried the whole way home, phoned my dad. I was like, Dad, what's happening? And it really broke me. And I said, that's it. I don't want to do it anymore. Why would you ever want to feel like that? And then, a couple of days later, like, picked myself up and blah. In fact, my dad actually got a phone call 2 days later, and it was and he phoned me after. He's like, I've just had a phone call. He's like, one of the specialist assistant referees, so that's the guys in the Premier League on the line. Was at your game on Sunday. You yellow carded his son in the first half, and he wasn't very happy about it. But he thinks he had a conversation with you at halftime that maybe, and it was him. And because I'd yellow carded his son in the first half, he was really annoyed. I was like, one, he didn't phone me to apologize, which is just ridiculous. But I was just like, that's crazy. But yeah, I just and it just made me think as well, like, that's so sad for someone to have gone and done that too. Probably what would I be, 19, 20 years old at that point in time, to go and do that. And you do just kind of have to pick yourself up. And there's other situations, like being a referee, we're human, we get things wrong. I come away from games and people are, they're shouting at you saying, you got that wrong because you're rubbish and blah, blah. Do you think I go out there and want to get shouted at by so many people? Do you think I'll go out there and go, do you know what, today I'm just going to have the worst performance of my life because I enjoy getting shouted at? Like, no, absolutely not. I go away and I'm the hardest critic on myself. I go away and look up highlights, look up videos. What could I have done better? Could I have been positioned better? But then again, you've got to remember you've got a game next Saturday and you can't keep thinking about that and putting yourself down. So it's definitely a very psychological thing. So I don't think I have an actual answer to how you do. I think it is just, you do need to think back and think of other situations and times and why you do it. And I love it. I obviously do it because I enjoy it and have and the community and people I've met and obviously the opportunities that I've been able to do. And I think you do just kind of need to push yourself and have that conversation and have that support network around you. Definitely use it. I say that to the girls. I'm like, we have this WhatsApp group, and you know what? It might be, you might think, why am I in this WhatsApp group? It's rubbish. It's people talking nonsense. But I'm like, there's no stupid question. There's no judgment. If you genuinely want support, we are there. Pick up the phone to me. Like, there's a girl in Lanarkshire recently who's just started, and she's really struggling with like the sideline abuse. And I was like, right, here's the things we're going to do. I was like, if I'm free, I'll come along and watch a game. I think it is that support network and really trying to help yourself that way. But yeah, sorry, long-winded.
Got any questions in the Zoom room?
Yes, we have indeed. So we have a few. So Jack is saying that it's really inspiring, your talk. And what do you think is one big thing we could do to encourage more girls and women to take leadership roles in sport?
That's a really good question. I think it's really powerful to have more leaders in sport. I think especially push people when they're younger as well. So I really like, there's like a sport hour. So I think it's Sport Scotland, the first Monday of every month, they have like a sport hour, and it's meant to encourage young people and adults to have an open conversation about lots of different topics in sport, about leadership, about change, about confidence, about what can we do. And I think things like that are really important. I think it is just encouraging people, encouraging that talent. And if somebody sees it, like there's a lot of girls in my association and girls I see around the country, like I really try, and I'm not saying they don't do it, because they definitely do, and they do it without also out knowing it, but like the other FIFA girls, that we're obviously out in an international stage, and we get a lot of the kind of high profile games in Scotland that end up on the media now, which is fantastic. But it's pushing them to say, you are an inspiration and we need to encourage people, and what can we do? And I think it's the same on men and the male and female side, and is encouraging people. I really love these like youth ambassador of change programs. I know Sports Scotland have a panel as well. I think it is just important to nurture and encourage these people to really speak up and be passionate about how they can help. And it's not just all about gender equality, it's about equality for disabilities as well. Like that's so important. We were doing a lot of that through the youth ambassador program about fans coming to the games and the experience they have. We had a referee who is in a wheelchair, and at first he was like, well, how am I going to referee and what can I do? And it was like, well, there's power I think it's power league football, or power football, power chair football, so he can go and do that. Futsal is another version of football, and he could go and actually be they have different referees, so they can have like a timekeeper referee. It's all about just getting them involved and encouraging them and nurturing them to have that opportunity to speak out. And if you see someone who has an idea, encourage it. Why not? Like, I don't think any idea is a bad idea. I think we should all attempt to look at ideas, and maybe they don't all turn out at the end, but you know, there's probably a little bit of that idea that you can still use somewhere else to encourage something. So yeah.
So many scary things. Which one was the most terrifying?
Oh, definitely the Kilimanjaro is definitely the most terrifying. Like I say, it was that climb on the last day, and I genuinely did not think I was making it up that last climb. And an interesting thing about it was, and it shows you sometimes how people maybe don't know refereeing and don't maybe understand refereeing, they just think about it. So we had so I'm a FIFA assistant referee internationally, and then you get a FIFA referee internationally. And they took 3 FIFA referees and 2 assistant referees. And we were like, why have you brought 3 referees and only 2 assistant referees? And they were like, oh, because they can jump in. And I was like, well, no, if this needs to be FIFA accredited to get the world record, which is that's why we were there and we'd been asked to do it, and one of the assistant referees doesn't make it to the top, what's going to happen? So, and you could just see their eyes going, oh no, like we've mucked up and brought 3 referees and only 2, thinking that they could jump in and cover. So that was an interesting situation. So that was definitely terrifying, and thinking, if I don't make it up, are they actually going to be able to have the game? And it's going to all be on me because I couldn't climb that last bit. But it was just amazing. Like I can't even, it's so surreal now. It actually almost feels like a dream. Like it took 7 days to climb, but I'm actually like, did those 7 days actually happen? And yeah, it was just so surreal. And it really was hearing the stories of the girls from other places. And, you know, we think we have it tough. I'm not saying it's perfect, because it's definitely not perfect here. We have so much more to do. We were talking earlier about how female referees in Scotland don't actually have female kit. We have to wear men's kit because they don't sell it to us. So there's no option for us, which I think we need to work on and we need to do better. But then you're hearing about girls who aren't even allowed to go outside and play football. So like there's two extremes, and just hearing some of the girls from Saudi Arabia and things like that, and what they'd been through. And so it was a terrifying experience and unbelievable, but really those stories push you on and inspire you, and hearing what they've done is 10 times more than what I've done, and they're just incredible human beings. Yeah.
So much, Vikki, for ending on that inspiring note as well. Can we have another huge round of applause for our yeah, Vikki, thank you so much. Yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this morning's talk. We are going to move on to just the final part of this morning, is our community minutes segment. So at every Creative Mornings event, we give members of our community the opportunity to kind of come up here and speak for a minute and share about what they're up to and how you can get involved with their various projects and ventures. So first up this morning, we've got Kath from Creative Edinburgh.
Hello, hi everyone. Oh, it's really weird seeing like a sea of people. Thank you, Vikki and Creative Mornings. This has been so good, so thank you. Yes, I'm Kath. I'm program manager with Creative Edinburgh. So I just wanted to do a little shout out about what we're coming up. If you don't know Creative Edinburgh, we are an organisation supporting creatives across the industry. So through events, advocacy, mentoring, resources, and lots of other things. You can find out more on our website, just search Creative Edinburgh. But our next big event is the Creative Edinburgh Awards, our annual celebration of inspiring people, places, and projects across Edinburgh. So we have a huge range of shortlisters who are being decided and announced in the coming weeks. We had I think 179 entries this year, so it's an incredible list of people to choose from. I'm sure you'll know many of them. Creative Mornings were actually nominated last year, so it's great projects and people you've probably heard of, but also it's also a really nice chance to find out about the inspiring creative work that you've maybe missed the past year, because there's always so much. This year we are doing a two-part celebration, making more work for myself. So it's also lines up with Creative Edinburgh's birthday. And this year is a decade of Creative Edinburgh. So on the 4th of November, we'll be having a virtual birthday bash. So we'll have digital networking, we'll have a kind of virtual birthday card. And then a couple of weeks later, on 18th of November, we'll be here at the Fruit Market, live streaming and announcing the winners live on the night. So you'll get to see all the shortlisters, you'll get to hear a wee bit from the winners themselves. And we'll also be releasing at that birthday bash our shortlist movie, which is like an hour-long film that we've made with an amazing filmmakers, Easy Days Creative, and that deep dives into all the projects. So you actually get to see the work, hear from the shortlisters, and find out more about them. So please come get involved. Tickets, early bird tickets are on sale now. They're £7, and then the rest of our tickets will be available in a couple of weeks. But also follow us on social, because we'll be announcing the shortlist on there, and it's the best way to kind of get involved in the community and in the shortlisters and find out what's going on. I'm sure links will be in social media and follow-ups and stuff. And thank you, everyone. Nice to see you all and see you all at home.
Next up, we have former Creative Mornings Edinburgh speaker Andy to tell you about 5 things.
Thanks so much, Vikki. That was like properly inspirational talk. But yeah, Mandy, yeah, just like to tell you a couple of things about a monthly meetup I run. So 5 things is a morning meetup where 3 speakers share 5 key takeaways from one of their favorite non-fiction books. And it's quite a lovely little community. We've explored books, sort of topics ranging from systemic racism to fungi last month, to creativity and building safe cities. October the 20th, yeah, which isn't too far away, is our 15th event. So I'd love if you could join us online. I was actually going to say I'll post a link in the chat, but I'm not actually on a call. I'm still get to get used to the. That's very kind. Thank you. I'm also looking for speakers as well. I think it's a really good opportunity for people that are sort of new to public speaking. It's quite a short talk. It's a really supportive community as well. There's all the lovely past speakers. What a lovely bunch. Yeah, and so yeah, again, if you're up for it, just to explore a book, yeah, I'd really appreciate if you got in touch. Again, I was going to put the link, my details in the chat, but hey, yeah, yeah, that's all I have. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Andy. Next up, our next community minute is from Ian Morrison from Fruit Market Gallery. Woo.
Just like running onto the pitch here. Yeah, thanks so much. I loved Vicky's talk. It was really great, and it's so nice to have Creative Mornings back in the gallery again. Yeah, woo! Yeah, you guys have like been one of our like longest standing and like most faithful friends, and I love that even when we were over in the Waverley Mall, you came and did an event with us there, and it's like really nice to complete the journey and come back into the building that we started like planning about how to upgrade 10 years ago now. So obviously the big news from Fruit Market at the moment is that we're open, we're back. Now we're going to become the organization that we've been planning the space to become, you know, for such a long time. And as well as having our fabulous exhibition of Carla Black's work on at the moment, we're very much up for talking to communities, friends, extended family, and hear your ideas about what the space can be. We're already saying among the team, oh, it's great to seeing this space being used again for events and like, you know, the rejigged cafe that we're running ourselves. Please just come and enjoy that, you know, come and have coffees and meetings like we always love to see you doing. Come and see the galleries, but come with your ideas for events as well. My inbox is open. I'm at Ian Fruit Market or ian@fruitmarket.co.uk if you want to email me. Let's talk. And yeah, just thanks for staying with us and nice to see you all again.
Thank you, Ian. And our final community minute is from Karen at our local supporter Free Agent.
I've got to add it again. Everybody said it, but Vicky, that was just fantastic. I cannot stand football, but your talk was just brilliant. It really was. And it's so just brilliant to be back with Creative Mornings. Although a small gathering, you're all at home. It's just brilliant. So looking forward to lots more people in the room the next time. I just want to introduce you to Free Agent. We spoke about it a bit earlier on. We've sponsored Creative Mornings now for about 5.5, 6 years, something like that. Free Agent is a tech company based here in Edinburgh, and we are a really inclusive type of place to work. Everybody there is just so brilliant. I've worked there for 6 years, love it. Could I have the next one, please? I'm here today because we need some more people to come and join us. We'd really love to see some more people coming along and seeing us. And I'm here to plea to all of you to talk to your friends about Free Agent. I know that a lot of you are freelancers yourselves. We're not looking to take you out of your business. We're looking for you to talk to other people about Free Agent and find out what positions we have available. This is just part of our careers part of our website. And on here, there's a detailed list of all the positions that we've got at the moment. Today, I'd like to talk to you about the three we've got here. The first one is the product designer, and I've been asked to mention that could be a mid or senior level role, so open to quite a lot of people, and it could even be remote, or you could work with us in the office, which is just fantastic. Our second one is the senior designer in our marketing team. Come along and help us design all our wonderful slides and flyers and whatever else. And the other one, we're looking for a senior marketing executive. Now that could be open to somebody who's maybe only been working for about a couple of years. It's that opportunity at that kind of level. But please, I urge you, please talk to all your friends about us. We'd love some more people to come and join us. And we're looking forward to getting back into the office as well. So thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Karen. And all the links and things for those free agent vacancies and more info will be in the chat on the Zoom. So all that really remains for today is to say that if you've enjoyed today and you want to catch up on more Creative Mornings talks, head to our site, our chapter site, at creativemornings.com, and you'll find recordings of all our previous Zoom talks, and also if you want to go further back into the archive, real life events as well. Got lots of fantastic speakers on there, so I'd urge you to go and check it out. And yeah, thank you so much everybody for joining us this morning. Another huge thank you to you, Vikki, for such a fantastic talk. A round of applause. Thank you. Thank you to our Creative Minutes people. A huge thank you as well to Ian and the Fruit Market team for hosting us this morning. What an absolute joy. And thank you to everybody in the room, and thank you to you all in the Zoom room as well. If you missed a little bit of this morning, or you've got a pal who you think this will be right up their street, this morning's event has been recorded and will be up on our YouTube channel very shortly. So you can head there after the event or check out our social media as well if you want to rewatch or share it with a pal. Yeah, thank you so much. We will see you at our next event on the 29th of October, when our theme will be design. So thank you so much everyone, and have a great Friday. Woo!